national emergency. Important instructions will follow.
We will not comply.
Why the hell should I?
Nation. These leftists are not progressive. I'm telling you that right now.
We've won. I'm going to tell you, we have won.
The Canadian media is no good. It is no good. How is everybody doing? This is the Arana Nation. I am the commander-in-chief of the Arana Nation, a land where the people can walk barefoot because the land is so holy. Again, this is Michael Arana, and I wanted to surprise you guys. This is going to be a recurring thing every Sunday from 8 until 9. This is going to be a live show for an hour. Instead of just doing shows randomly like I've done for many years now. This is going to be a live thing every Sunday. We're on YouTube. We are on Odysee. We are on Rumble. I will post the video to BitChute. And we are on many other streams. And this is FLTV. And you are listening to the Arana Nation. Man, I was sitting around and thinking of some topics to talk about, and I just realized, Justin the Tar-Faced Mac Daddy Trudeau, he is getting unpopular, man. He is really, really getting unpopular everywhere he goes. You Canadians are just booing him out of there. He was booed out of Toronto, booed out of Bolton, and he's just got booed out of Hamilton. I used to live in Hamilton, and they don't joke around in Hamilton. It's a rough town. And you Canucks booed him out. Miss Andrew, let's see the clip of Justin the Tar-Faced Mac Daddy Trudeau being booed and heckled out of the Steel City of Canada, Hamilton, Ontario. Please roll.
Fucking monster! You're an asshole! You're destroying this country! You fucking darling! You can see they've hung up tablecloths so nobody can look inside. We go, secret security! Trudeau, you fucking monster! You're an asshole! You're destroying this country! You are destroying this country! You are dividing this country! Trudeau! Trudeau! Trudeau, look at me! Look at me! Look at me! Look at me, Trudeau! You're a monster! You have blood on your hand!
All right, so that was in Hamilton, Ontario, downtown Hamilton. I know that city. Here's the thing, though. First of all, that's good. Canadians, at least some Canadians, are beginning to see what I have told you guys since 2015. I mean, this is a tar-faced Mac Daddy. This is a Mac Daddy out of the pit of hell. This is the son of Satan. He pimps out Canadians. Remember when I was talking like that when I had my old YouTube channel? I told you guys. And I mean, yeah, you're protesting him and heckling him and all this sort of stuff. But the problem is that he keeps on, for some reason, getting elected. Now, I do know, and I'm not sure if we have any images, but I do know that he has not won the popular vote since 2015. The Conservatives, first Andrew Scheer, when he was the head of the Conservative Party, and then Aaron O'Toole, as I like to call him, Aaron O'Trudeau, because he was really no different from Justin the Tar-Faced Mac Daddy Trudeau. All the major policy of the day, he somewhat more or less supported. But each time the Conservatives have gotten the popular vote, which is fine, but he still keeps winning, in Toronto and in the big cities. I mean, big city people are hopeless. I got a message here from Bonnie saying that Canadians are still being constrained and polite, and for the most part, that is true. I do see that people are getting fed up. I mean, every time you drive around, I have never seen so many F Trudeau signs and and anti-Trudeau signs on cars. I mean, one thing that is very different from our friends in America. Americans are very expressive. You know, if they love something, they're going to post it all over their vehicle. You sometimes go driving through America, every piece of the car is filled with a bumper sticker, Trump and MAGA and F Joe Biden, let's go Brand, everywhere on the car. You don't see that much in Canada, but you're starting to see it in Canada. You are starting to see it. But the problem is that, you know, the problem is that and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I, I I I believe we are cursed. I believe God has put a curse on us, and this is something that has happened since the '60s. You know, I was thinking about it when it comes to Canada. When before the '60s, before Pierre Trudeau, before Justin Trudeau, before the Maple Leaf, before all that stuff, when Canada was storming Vimy Ridge, when Canada built the Trans Canada Highway and the Canadian railroads from coast to coast to coast and all that stuff, we were a strong nation. You know, we had the fourth largest military, and ever since the '60s, ever since Pierre, ever since Justin, ever since Maple Leaf, we've just gone further and further and further downhill, in my opinion. And I believe it's come to a point where we are cursed now. And yeah, Hamilton, Ontario used to be a liberal stronghold. It's now a socialist stronghold. It's an NDP stronghold. I mean, it's not NDP where you've got people wearing blue hair and thinking that there's more than two genders. It's more of a working class city. If you exclude the downtown part, it's more of a working class steel city. So these are individuals who would vote NDP. They want a better life. They're union members, but these are people who don't believe that there are more than two genders. These are people who are not all up into the whole, I call them the blue hair people, these kind of weird, freaky, liberal type of people. That's not Hamilton. Hamilton's a working. These are people who I think the conservatives should be speaking to. Canada is divided into political districts, and Hamilton has about four, I think. You've got Hamilton Center, that's the blue-haired liberals. That's the blue-haired socialists. You're never going to get that. Conservatives never can forget about that. Hamilton Mountain, that's the suburbs. That's where all the working people live. Those are people who vote NDP but can vote conservative if you talk to them. You talk to them about how bad destructive immigration is, how bad these trade deals we've been doing, which have ruined places like Hamilton are. Uh, Forced vaccines and all this sort of stuff. Hamilton, East Stony Creek, that's another suburb, working class area. Hamilton, Ancaster, Dundas, Westdale, which is more where the Mass University and all those places. But man, Trudeau can't go anywhere without being heckled. I mean, even Toronto, he being booed. Bolton, Ontario, which is near Toronto. Remember in the election 2021? Booed out of there. Booed out of there. he couldn't even make his speech. But the fact of the matter is he still won. So my message about this, and I won't take too much time on it, is it's easy to protest. It's easy to boo. But we also have to do something about it. I believe our country's cursed right now. And one of the things we have to do is we cannot give up on voting. We cannot give up on voting. And people say, well, voting is rigged. Voting is rigged. Voting is rigged. Oh, no, you're talking, no, it's rigged. I'm not doing it anymore. It's rigged. Well, you know what you're doing? You're giving up. Let me tell you, it is rigged. I agree, it is rigged. Did I say it's not rigged? It's rigged. But let me tell you something else. The people who are rigging it are human beings. You have to remember, at the end of the day, yes, we're living under a new world order. We are living under globalism. We are living under all of this stuff. But it's human beings who run these things. And if people swarm the voting booths, it makes it a lot harder to rig the election. 2016, they tried to rig that, and Trump still won because people were so excited and people voted and people swarmed the vote. There was a time in that election, I think it was after, there was a recount in Michigan or something like, either Michigan or Illinois or something. And he had won the district, but it was very close. And they did a recount, and it turns out he won by even more. He won by even more. So they were trying to rig it, and they did a recount, and he won. But they were trying to cheat him out of the even more votes he won. So it's human beings who rig this thing. So if you turn up and you swarm the thing, it makes it harder to rig. They'll still try, but it's harder to do. So we can't give up on that. It's rigged. I'm not telling you it's not rigged. I know I'm repeating. It's rigged. I didn't tell you it's not. But we have to fight that. And protesting is good. Yes, I'm not saying we shouldn't protest. We should protest. Boo him out everywhere. If Trudeau comes to your town, boo him. Boo him. Boo him, yes. Go out there and boo him. And wave Canadian flags and F Trudeau flags and boo him with a smile on your face, too. Loudly and proudly, and throw him out. You're not welcomed here. If he comes to Oshawa, you're not welcomed here. If he comes to Halifax, you're not welcomed here. If he comes to Calgary, you're not welcomed here. You're not welcome nowhere in this country. Stay in Ottawa. And even there, you're not welcomed. But we have to do more. We have to be involved politically. I'm not endorsing any party. I'm an independent. I tend to last time I went PPC. This time I'll probably go for Pierre Poilievre. I don't trust him 100%, but I probably still will go for him because he's trying. He's giving an effort to speak to us, the freedom lovers, the populists, the nationalists. I'll support him this time, and if he makes a mistake, I won't support him again. See, that's another thing with conservatives. We get all butthurt. Oh, Doug Ford, he betrayed us. Well, then now I ain't supporting nobody. No. You are the boss of these politicians. And when a boss hires somebody and that person is not quite up to scratch, well, then they throw them out. Do you think Bill Gates sits there in his chair? Man, I hired that person, and boy, he is trying to, he is no good and all this sort of stuff. Man, I'm just gonna quit this business now, and I'm just gonna stay home because I'm hiring out. No, he fires them, throws them in the street, and finds someone else. That's what we need to do too. And I got a comment here about should we split the vote? Well, don't be afraid to split the vote. If the conservative is not up to scratch, then we're splitting it, yes. Glenn Atwell, yes. But I don't feel that it's necessary this time. When Aaron O'Toole was the leader of the Conservative Party, I said split the vote. Because if Aaron won or Justin won, a Trudeau was going to win anyway. So I'm not afraid to split the vote. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not going to reward a conservative who tries to act like a liberal. I'm not going to do it. If you try to act like a liberal and tell me I have to vote for you because if I don't vote for you, then, you're going to get worse, I'm not going to reward that arrogant behavior. I will split the vote and you might not win. But this time I will give him a chance. But we need to protest. We need to make our voices heard. We need to be aggressive. We need to express ourselves. We need to be peaceful. We need to be productive. And we need to look out for each other. But we also need to vote. And with that, I will be back after these few messages, please.
Securing your data privacy is more important than ever. Start your free privacy scan and see how much of your data is being sold on the internet. Offering data breach monitoring, bulk data removal, and agency protection, Dataseal.io is the best and most affordable way to secure your data from ending up in the wrong hands. Remove your data today from the internet with Dataseal.io. That's Dataseal.io.
Toronto is getting so violent. I can't believe how violent the city of Toronto is getting. Every time I turn on the news, every time I get a notification on my phone, someone's getting beaten up in the TTC, someone got stabbed in the DTC, some old lady got pushed. First of all, why y'all attacking these old ladies, these women? I mean, I haven't heard us. It's about like what, 15, 30 attacks I've heard on the TTC. Not one of them are men. I mean, some of you damn cowards, and I'm hearing about mental illness. Maybe some of them are mentally ill, but you can't be mentally ill if you just conveniently are only attacking. Because you see, mental ill people, they don't know what they're doing. They hear God on the radio and they say, "Oh, let's attack just any random person. It could be a man, woman, but it's always these women. Why y'all attacking these women? Why don't you attack someone like me? Why don't you attack someone like I don't know, some big man or something? Because you get your ass whooped, your butt whooped. But all these old ladies being thrown in the subways and all this stuff. Do we have a clip on some of the violence taking place in the subway? Let's roll that clip, please.
In her 20s was stabbed multiple times in the head and the face while she was riding the streetcar this afternoon, and police say initial reports suggest that she did not know her attacker.
Well, I mean, look, like everyone, we are incredibly concerned that, these random acts are happening on the TTC. We saw another one today in downtown Toronto. Clearly there's something going on, and I don't know what's behind it, but.
A woman in her 20s. And she didn't even know her attacker. I mean, come on. I mean, it's one thing I'm not going to be one of those Puritans who, ooh, violence, ooh, 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 I'm holding on to my pearls. Violence is a part of life. I understand that. But these random, you don't know, no provocation, nothing, just random. That is so evil. I think if you're mentally ill, you should be, if you do something like that, they should lock you in a mental asylum and never let you out. And if you are being violent and you're just being bad and you're attacking people, throwing, they should lock you up in a jail cell and throw away the key. Maybe they should bring back birching or lynching or something like that. I mean, because this is ridiculous. And why is it always women? I mean, I've lived in Toronto for this is my home. Born and raised in Toronto. I mean, I'm not in Toronto right now, as you guys can tell. I'm not in my old studio. But Toronto, that's my stomping ground. Specifically Oshawa, but that's Toronto. No, and I've ridden the TTC all my adult life, and to 11 o'clock in the night, to 12 o'clock in the night when they close it sometime, and it's like I have never felt any kind of way on the TTC, and it's like, why don't you guys ever come after me? I mean, you won't, because number one, I'm the kind of person where I don't believe in calling police, at least not these days. Because I heard an article the other day where a woman had her home, another woman got her home broken into. She called the police and they said, "There's nothing we can do about it. Call the mayor." Can you imagine that? So I say to myself, I ain't gonna call in police. I'm gonna put the law in my, you do anything, you so much as look at me in a kind of way, and it's on. But a little woman, a petite woman, even bigger women, I'm not trying to sound chauvinistic here, but It's a fact that men, whether they're skinnier men or bigger men, are naturally and biologically stronger than women, whether it's a big woman or a small woman. And you see a woman there coming home from work, tired like a dog, probably got 2 or 3 kids to feed. Her feet hurt, her back hurts. She just wants to get home to Scarborough or Etobicoke or North York or wherever, and she's sitting there, and some crazy person on the subway there and pushes her down, beats her. I mean, come on, man. You people aren't crazy. Y'all need a whoop. And where are the men here to defend our women in Toronto? Where are the men? Where are the men? I mean, the Toronto subways are crowded enough, even when it's not rush hour. Where are the men of Toronto to protect our women when they're being attacked by these jackasses on the subway? I think women should boycott the TTC. That's my opinion. I think women all over Toronto should boycott the TTC until something is done about the crime situation. I mean, as I said before, and I'm going to say it again, and I don't care if you think I'm repeating myself, I think we're cursed. I think we're cursed in this country. I mean, things have really taken a turn for the worse. I mean, you go to New York City and stuff like that, where they've got police everywhere and all this sort of stuff. Crime is actually going down. And you notice what happened in 2022, not too long ago. What did Justin the Tar-Face Mac Daddy Trudeau and all of his liberals and his servants, the NDP, and Jagmeet Singh, the House slave, what did they do? They took away the handguns. They took the handgun, boom, boom, boom. They took those away. And they said, we need a safer world. We need a safer community. And I apologize if the connection isn't so good. I do apologize. Just bear with me here, please, and thank you. We'll get through this. But they said we are banning the handguns and the guns because we need a safer, and we don't want to be like those Americans killing everybody and all this sort of stuff. And now crime has gotten worse. I mean, the Wild West back in the 1920s wasn't as bad as this. And at least I'd rather be in the Wild West, because back in the Wild West, let me just see what Advocate for Truth. Hey, how are you? I met at Ford Fest. I think it was Remember the Bus with the Sign. That was years ago. I was at Ford Fest and back in 2019. That was when Doug Ford was good. I would never touch Ford Fest with a barge pole now. But I wonder I haven't heard of any Ford Fests anymore now. Nobody goes there anymore. Anyway, I'd rather be in the Wild West, because if there was violence in the Wild West, it was probably because some guy was flirting with another guy's woman and he called you out and he shot you there. The whole stereotype. That stick, that's how it was. There was a reason for the violence. Now with all this unprovoked violence, come on, man. So it's like they take the guns away, they take the handguns away, and violence gets worse. And women, they can't carry pepper spray in their purse or tasers, or you are not allowed to defend yourself in Toronto, but with your fist. If you defend yourself, you could very well be the one that goes to jail. So I think that all women and all children should boycott the TTC until, number one, the laws of the handguns are banning the handguns are canceled, and number two, there are more securities on the TTC, and number three, the city of Toronto or the province of Ontario or the government of Canada imposes or allows for stand your ground legislation, which makes it not only allowable, but encouraged for people to be allowed to defend themselves physically and sometimes even deadly if they are to become under attack. It shouldn't be that a woman is or a woman is being attacked by some drug addict, some meth head who probably attacked someone else, and the police took him and then released him again, and he's now attacking this other woman. And if she does anything, it's she who goes to jail. It can't be like that. It can't be. And if that's the case, then all women, I mean, if you have to, even if you have to find another job or invest in a bicycle or take Uber, it might be more expensive, but I think women and we have to take ourselves. Not, I'm not me. Oh, good God, I know it's 2023. I ain't no woman. But I'm just saying, women have the ability to take these things. If the government is not going to be on the side of women and children, then they have to defend themselves. Boycott the TTC and make them feel the financial pain. And until these conditions that I mentioned are taken and dealt with, I think women and children should not ride the TTC ever again. And with that being said, I will be right back after these messages, please.
Securing your data privacy is more important than ever. Start your free privacy scan and see how much of your data is being sold on the internet. Offering data breach monitoring, bulk data removal, and agency protection, DataSeal.io is the best and most affordable way to secure your data from ending up in the wrong hands. Remove your data today from the internet with DataSeal.io. That's DataSeal.io.
All right, so we have really been struggling in this country for a long time, and this inflation is really, really bad. And what I want to do now is inform everybody why I feel we are going through some really, really bad economic times with this inflation. You'll hear a lot of things that it's Vladimir Putin, or it's this and that, bless and that, this and that. I'm gonna tell you, the real reason why you can't afford, that barbecue chicken, the reason you can't afford that carton of milk, the reason you can't afford to fill up your tank and it's taking off, it's because of the lockdowns. And nobody's going to tell you that. You're not going to hear that from CBC. You're not going to hear that from CNN. You're not going to hear that from Justice the Tarface Mac Daddy Trudeau. You're not going to hear that from Joe Biden, my time, or Camelback Ain't Black Harris. You're not going to hear that from the Republicans or the Democrats or the conservatives or the liberals or the NDP. You're not going to hear that from anybody, but you are going to hear it from yours truly, the commander-in-chief of the Arana nation, the land where people can walk barefoot because the land is so holy. You're going to hear that from me, and you won't hear it from them because they are the problem, and I was the one warning you that this was going to be a problem. So let's talk about, let's do a little economics over here, okay? So economics 101. We're not just a talk show. Sometimes we do a little education here. When there is too much money in the economy, chasing too few goods, the price of goods go up. And the reason that happens is because if I am somebody who makes glasses, for example. I'm a glasses maker. And there are so many people who want glasses. And I only have, let's say, 3, but there are 5 people. Well, I'm going to have to raise the price so only the ones who are the most worthy get it. Otherwise, I'll go out of business because there's not enough glasses to meet demand. You have to give me some time to make new ones. And that's why the price goes up. Now, what happened during the lockdown, during the time when we were forced to lock down over a virus which kills only less than 1% of people who ever got it? The stupidest, and I believe it was done deliberately. I think it was malicious. I think it was a form of control. But anyway, let's not steer off course. What happened during that lockdown? And thank you, Advocate for Truth. God bless you. But let's look what happened. We were forced to stay at home. We were not allowed to work. The factories were closed. The everything was manufacturing was done. But then the government gave us money to help us because we weren't working, whether it was Serb in Canada or wherever in America. I don't know what they call it in America or in Britain. Everybody, for the most part, in the Western world, got money, free money, but there were no goods being created because everybody was at work. So now that everything is, for the most part, back to normal, even though we need to give a thought for some of our brothers and sisters in China, which I believe is hell on earth. But for the most part, it's back to normal for now. There hasn't been any production, but there's been plenty of free money. So now we have one of the worst inflations that mankind has seen in a long time. They're saying this is like 1970s. I mean, I wasn't around during the 1970s, but from what I've heard from people who were, it was worse. I mean, I never thought in my lifetime I would ever see a sign at a gas station that said no gas. And I've seen that this past winter at many different places. No gas. Sorry, no gas. That's a 1970s thing. And I've been seeing that. Can you imagine the price of eggs, the price of everything? Because we were not allowed to produce. They're going to blame Putin, not stupidly in fact, let me tell you something here about this whole Putin and Ukraine thing. And I'm going to get into this a little later. And by the way, I'm praying for Putin's success. And anybody who has a problem with me saying that, you can go jump, you know where to go. We'll get into why I say that. But we used to take a lot of oil from Putin, Vladimir Putin. Now we decide to pick a fight with Vladimir Putin. And, well, Vladimir Putin, he's a human being. I mean, what is he supposed to do? He says, well, if you want to fight with me, well, I ain't giving you all no more gas. Y'all can starve. I'm going to keep the gas for myself and my allies. So what's the lesson here? In a country called Canada and many other oil producing nations in the West, which has so much oil, we're swimming in it, and we refuse to create jobs in Alberta, create jobs in British Columbia, and Saskatchewan, and all these other places, Quebec, Ontario, Oil City, Ontario. We treat them so badly, and it's been worse under the tar-faced Mac Daddy. And we take money from Putin, but then one day we decide we want to pick a fight with Putin because of a little old insignificant country called Ukraine, which for many, many years until very recently used to be a Russian country, and now we all want to pretend like it's some independent nation, and now we want to pick a fight with the person who was filling up our cars. I mean, Vladimir Putin was filling up our cars. He was our gas station. And now we decided to throw rocks at our gas station. And Putin has said, up yours, don't come here anymore. Find your own way. And so if I were to blame the high gas prices on the things that are happening in Russia, I'm blaming my leaders, not Putin. Not Putin. Why would I blame Putin? Vladimir Putin is the president of the Russian Federation. He has no obligation to you Canadians, Canadians up there in Ontario and Quebec and Alberta, and you British people. Who voted for Putin in Canada? Who voted for Putin in Britain? Who voted for Putin in America? He has no obligation to give any of y'all oil. You all decided to pick a fight with your gas station, with your gas provider. And Putin is supposed to continue giving you gas? No, no. And so as a result, now we have very little oil, we have very little gas because we, number one, didn't drill for our own oil like we should have done. We should never be taking oil from other countries if we have it ourselves, because you never know when we're going to decide to pick a fight with that country with the stupid leaders we've got. And number two, we're picking a fight with this guy, and he's like, no, 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 no more oil for you. Sorry, goodbye. I'll give it to the North Koreans. They're going to be more grateful. And God bless, I'm going to give it to the Taliban. I'm going to give it to Iran. Hey, at least the Taliban will be more thankful. I'm going to give it to Africa. South Africa. I heard the Russian foreign minister was in South Africa the other day making a defense deal and an oil deal. And I know that the Africans will be a lot more grateful for that oil than you spoiled, decadent Westerners. And while we're on the subject of Russia versus Ukraine, can I say something here, which is probably going to anger a lot of you? I don't know, you know me. At least let me say what I've got to say. You may not disagree with me, but at least listen to me. I support Russia. Yeah, I support Russia. I'm gonna tell you why I support Russia. Russia is a country which is Putin is a nationalist. Putin is a Christian. Putin is a God-fearing person. Putin is not woke. Putin doesn't believe that there's more than two genders. Putin, with all of his faults, and I'm not saying I'm going to ever move to Russia anytime soon. I never said that. I'll never move to any other country unless it was America. I'm not moving to any other country. I'm not moving to no Russia. But I'll tell you, I support Russia over that cross-dresser Zelensky. Have you seen by the way, have you seen those pictures of Vladimir Zelensky when he was a comedian in that woman's outfit? He's a cross-dresser. I was speaking to someone the other day. Oh no, he was just joking. If a man puts on a dress, I don't care if he was Joe, he's a cross-dresser. He's a cross-dresser, and there's nothing more to be said. Volodymyr Zelensky is everything that is wrong with our society, and Vladimir Putin represents everything that's right. Christianity, loving your country, sticking up for your people first, not getting, those are the things that Zelensky stands for, globe trotting the world and glad handing with, a lot of NATO people and New World Order people and all sorts of stuff. There he is right there, Voldemort. And by the way, why does Voldemort Zelensky never wear a suit and a tie? I mean, this guy is always looking, what are those, his pajamas or something? I mean, that boy never wears a suit or a tie. He's always in that green getup, like he's some kind of thug or something like that. He looked like a gangster or something like. He looked like he needs to be in jail. Putin always is in a nice suit, tie, sports pants, black shoes, and this guy is always just dressed up. Even when he was at the U.S. Senate, he's dressed up like he just came out of Vietnam or something like that. What's wrong with him? No, I'm not. I don't support him. And I don't support him. No, I'm not saying I hate the people of Ukraine. I feel for them. I really I shouldn't have an opinion. I shouldn't have an opinion because it's not my war. But when I hear all these globalist leaders, what is the Prime Minister of Canada doing getting himself involved in this thing? Can you imagine if there was no United States of America? Russia probably invade Canada by now. My thing is that we should never be involved in a war unless our country is being threatened. I don't believe in standing up for our allies. You know, we always say, oh, our allies. We always say that when it comes to Israel. And you know, Israel is always picking a fight with all these people in the Middle East, bombing Iran today. And we're supposed to support them. What about all of our veterans who we send to these wars? And then when they come back to the country, we put them in Section 8 housing and the VA, and they sleep in the streets in shelters. I mean, we send all these people to fight in wars that have nothing to do with us, and then when they come back, they're in shelters, or even if they're even lucky to find a shelter. So no, I don't believe, and I really would hate for us to go to war over that cross-dresser Zelensky, who never wants to wear a suit and a tie, who's always glad-handing the globalists, who's always, you know, he himself is a globalist. He wants to put his country in NATO, in this, in the EU, and all this sort of stuff. No, no. No. So I will not stand by and allow the globalists of the world to say that the reason why we are living under inflation is because of Vladimir Putin. I'm just not going to allow that without giving my 2 cents. And this is a topic that I really haven't hammered on a lot. But now that I have this set up, where every Sunday I am going to do a 1 hour, at the very least 1 hour video, it's time we talk about a bunch of different things. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to do this. This is a new journey for the Arana Nation. I feel that this is going to make me more focused. I can get myself in order. I've got a team now to help me, you know, with all these graphics and all these gadgets and gizmos. I couldn't do all that by myself, brothers and sisters. I was about ready to get a heart attack from all that. But this is a new chapter here, and I'm on YouTube, I am on Rumble, I'm on BitChute, I am on Truth Social as well, at Arana Nation. Please subscribe to me there, and again, share this video. I mean, listen, this is not a Disney movie that I'm making where I'm concerned about copyright. This is information that is extremely important. When I talk about why inflation is the way it is, I'm not here sitting there, well, you know, Mr. Engineer, we have to be careful that this person here is going to share this information or copy this information and share it and maybe make some money off of it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the information is important. The word is important. And I feel this is God's word too. I believe it's God's word. I believe this is God's will. This is God's will. To inform, to educate, to open the minds. It's God's will. But I want to say that I am so happy that you guys have joined me about on this journey. And if we could just let's take a breather for a bit. We're gonna do one last commercial, and then I will be right back with my final thoughts. The government of Ontario, the people who make these rules, the chief medical officer doesn't believe that the mask is important. Why the hell should I? All right. So in the final hour, in the final minutes that we have, good gosh, I said hours, not hours, minutes that we have, I want to talk about something that is very, very important, medically assisted in dying. You know, now in Canada, the government has come up with some sort of scheme talking about people who, if they feel that they don't want to live anymore, whether it's mental or medical illness, they can they can commit suicide. Basically, pretty much what it is. In fact, this is very important to me because I actually have a friend of mine who's in hospital right now, and they are advocating medically assisted suicide. I call it medically assisted suicide. I don't call it medically assisted in dying. I don't medically assisted suicide. In fact, I just call it flat out murder. That's what it is. It's murder. Now, I don't want to let me scale myself back a little bit here. I do believe, and I do believe in some cases when all hope is lost, maybe it's time. I don't know if y'all remember the Terry Schiavo case, but here it is. Look at this. Mental illness. Mental illness. If you feel depressed, your girlfriend left you, you got an F on your report card. You probably come from an Asian family, and your parents disowned you, and you can go to the hospital and they can kill you. I mean, these are issues that people can break out of. Now, if you're talking about Terry Schiavo, somebody who is in a vegetative state, who can't speak, who can't even go to the bathroom on her own, who is dying inside, listen, I think that mercy calls, mercy, mercifully, take her, and there's no way out. It's no point in leaving someone like that to die a slow and painful death. But if you are depressed and you have an illness that you can get out of, and your government is telling you, we are going to help you kill yourself, that's murder. And again, this is Justin, the tar-faced, swift-foot, Mac Daddy Trudeau and his cohorts. Just flat out murder. No parental consent starting at 12 years. I mean, and this is happening, this is going to start in March. Is this what our country has come to? Where we can literally suggest to the mentally ill, just kill yourself, brother. Just kill yourself, sister. There's nothing we don't want to bother with putting more money into the mental health institution. We know mental health is so underfunded. You go to the psych awards and all these stuff, they are filled to capacity. You call the crisis line, the person is not well trained, they don't have patience to talk to you, they don't care. All the doctors are interested in is putting you under with another medication so that big pharma can make more money. We know that it's underfunded. We don't want to fund the mental health institute. We'd rather give all that money to Ukraine so that they can use that money. We'd rather give that money to some other countries. We'd rather give that money to teaching people that there are more than two genders, and we'd rather give that money to the big pharma companies and to the media companies, CBC, CTV, so they can continue being puppeteers to the left-wing globalists who control our country. But we don't want to give that money to mental health. That's just too much. That's too much goodness. That's too much. You just kill yourself, bro. Just kill yourself, and we'll help you. You don't have to jump off a bridge. You don't have to jump into Niagara Falls. You don't have to jump into the 401 no more. You don't have to do that. We're going to do it for you. painless. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? And I do think that that's the reason. Can I tell you, Patriots, let me tell you this, and I'm not going to put myself on you much longer, okay? That hour is about to go. I could speak on this forever. But I think that's the reason. I just think they can't be bothered with spending the money on mental health. I think they believe that there are too many people out there. They want to make life as bad as possible so that they can get rid of the extra people on the planet. Because they're always talking about population control and you'll own nothing and be happy, and they're gonna own stuff. They can't be bothered with us. We're too busy protesting. Let me tell you something. I wouldn't fall for it. If you're depressed, if you are overwhelmed, don't allow the government of Canada to kill you. Don't play into their hands, because I'm going to tell you something. You could be a hero. You can say, listen, I am depressed right now, but I am going to get through this so that someone else is not going to be the way I'm feeling right now. Because if you go and kill yourself, they're going to do it to someone else. And then they're going to be the only ones here running the damn thing. And they're going to have their own way forever. And I'm not going to make it easy for them. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. I believe this is evil. I believe this is cruel. And people, when I tell people that Justice the Tar-Faced Mac Daddy Trudeau is the son of Satan, they tell me I'm going too far. If this is not the act of the son of Satan, I don't know what is. I honestly don't know what is. He is a Mac Daddy. He's a tar-faced Mac Daddy. He is from the pit of hell. And there's all there is to it. Anyway, this has been a very great show. And this is going to be every Sunday for the most part, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Rumble, on Odysee, on YouTube, on BitChute. Please subscribe to me at Arana Nation on Truth Social. And by the way, I don't think Donald Trump should go back to Facebook or Twitter, even though they allowed him to go back. That'll be for another time. But for now, this is Michael Arana. I am the Commander-in-Chief, and this is your